Are you exhausted from watching your child struggle with ADHD signs despite trying every traditional approach? Maybe you've sat through the countless appointments where doctors quickly diagnose your child, prescribed medication, and when that didn't work, they simply increased the dosage or switched brands. If you're like many parents we meet, you've probably felt frustrated that no doctor was willing to discuss anything outside of medication, leaving you wondering if there's something more you could be doing for your child's long term success. Did you know that over 7 million children in the United States have been diagnosed with ADHD? Yet traditional testing methods only focus on labeling and categorizing signs without ever identifying what's actually causing them. But what if I told you there's a revolutionary type of ADHD test that doesn't just tell you what type of ADHD your child has, but shows you exactly what's happening in their nervous system that's creating these struggles? Let me tell you about Ben, whose story might sound all too familiar. After struggling in school for 2 years, Ben was diagnosed with ADHD, and his mom describes the frustration with traditional care, saying, I was blown away at how most doctors handle children with ADHD. The diagnosis is quick, he was easily given a prescription, and when it didn't work, the dosage was increased 2 more times. And when that didn't work, they were told they could try a different brand. And it was frustrating that no doctor was willing to discuss anything outside of medication. And that's what Ben's mom said. And Ben's family sought out nutritional and functional providers and started seeing more improvements. But they wanted to make sure they were doing everything possible for him to live the best life without turning back to medications. And that's when they found neurologically focused chiropractic care, where the approach was completely different, focusing on long term health and well being, not just masking the signs. So let's start by understanding the two main types of ADHD that we see in practice. The first is raging bull type, which is most common in children under 5. And these kiddos seem to charge through life at 100 miles per hour with busy brains that don't like to slow, stop, or even sit still. And they typically display hyperactivity and impulsiveness. And then there's the drunken bull type that doesn't usually have the hyperactivity but gets easily distracted, off track, and disorganized. This appears in children who are older typically and is misunderstood as laziness or lack of motivation. But the most common we see is a combined type, displaying elements of both hyperactivity and inattentiveness, which requires a comprehensive approach to address both aspects. The critical problem with traditional ADHD testing is that these medical tests and surveys focus solely on labeling and categorizing the type of ADHD challenges a child is struggling with, but they completely miss what's causing these signs. Traditional testing measures and tracks signs without looking deeper into the function of the brain and nervous system where the real root cause lies. This is exactly why many ADHD care plans and strategies fail to get the results parents are seeking. If your test doesn't find the root cause but only tracks the signs, you've probably only solved half the problem, if that. So, with Insight neurological scans, we find the real root cause. These scans measure the exact amount of distress, dysfunction, and disorganization within the central and autonomic nervous system, which is the actual brain body connection that controls everything. For raging bull hyperactive types, we focus on the total energy index, which should be about 150 or less for optimal function. But many of these children test higher, showing massive nervous system stress. For drunken bull types, we measure pattern scores, where 100 represents ideal neurological organization and function, and these children are starting to struggle with focus and organization, often with scores lower than 50. These scans don't just label the type of ADHD. They show us exactly where the nervous system dysfunction is located and how severe it is, allowing us to create personalized and precise care plans. The real root cause of ADHD is nervous system dysfunction. So, what we've discovered is that ADHD struggles stem from subluxation, which are areas of dysfunction and disorganization in the autonomic nervous system that affect how the brain and body communicate. And the nervous system stress often begins early in life through what we call the perfect storm: prenatal stress, birth trauma from interventions like forceps or C sections, and early childhood stressors that accumulate over time. When the nervous system gets stuck in fight or flight mode, it creates the exact signs we see with ADHD: difficulty focusing, hyperactivity, emotional dysregulation, and behavioral challenges. Click the link in our bio to learn more about Insight scans.